What's up, Nerdyverse? I'm Daddy Louie, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a game called Bees: The Secret Kingdom. So stick around. Before we get started, if you're new to our channel and you want to see more content like this, start now by hitting the subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Alright guys, so the game that we have today for you is a game called Bees: The Secret Kingdom. This was provided to us by the publisher, Van Ryder Games. It is currently available. You can buy it on their website for $24.99. You can also get it on Amazon. I will leave a link to those in the description down below. And it is essentially a resource management game, but it's very entry level. It's aged at 6 to 99. I could definitely see a 6-year-old being able to play this, maybe even a little bit younger, depending on how good they are with basic numbers. It is about 15 minutes to play, depending on how many people you have playing. You can play 2 to 6 players, and there are actually 2 different modes. There's the normal mode and an advanced mode for those that are more advanced with gaming. But there are reasons that this is different than other resource management games that you've played before. Essentially, you are collecting resources and then buying your victory points with those resources. But like I said, there are some differences and a couple of unique things about this game that I really enjoyed that will separate it from other games that you've played with similar mechanics. So without further ado, join me on the table and we'll take a look. Right away, as soon as you pick up the box, you immediately see one of the things that I absolutely love about this game, and that is the artwork. You're going to see once we get into it, the cards that are inside. It just has beautiful artwork, just like you see here on the front of the box. You just have basic information, name of the game, and the developer, but that artwork is just phenomenal, and it carries throughout the entire game. Okay, so once inside the game, these are the components that you're going to find. There is a simple rule book. It's just a couple of pages long. It's not very complicated to learn how to play the game. So once you know how to play, you probably won't reference this anymore. And then you have 3 stacks of card types. You have your advanced victory point cards, I guess you could say. This is what would be used in the advanced mode of playing. Then you have your gather cards. These are the cards you use to decide what type of pollen you're going to gather. And then you have your honey cards, which is the victory condition or the victory points that you're going to earn. Basically, how you're going to win the game. And then you're also going to have 4 sets of colored gems: blue, red, purple, and yellow. And these are going to represent the different types of pollen that you can gather during the game, which you will then use to buy honey. And the better honey that you make, the more points you get for it. So yeah, this is all that you need to play the game. There are quite a bit of honey cards, and then less of the gather, and then even fewer of the advanced mode cards. Once you have the game all set up, it will kind of look a little bit like this. And each player who is playing in the game gets to do one of 2 actions on their turn. They can either gather pollen by drawing 2 cards from the gather deck, and then choosing one and discarding one. When they choose, they're looking at the top right corner of the card, and that's the amount of pollen that they're going to gather in that color. So for example, if I were to choose this red pollen card here, I would gather 2 red pollen from the pool and add them to my stash. However, one of the unique mechanics about this game is that when I do that, the bottom left corner indicates what my opponents are going to gather. So I gathered 2 red, but my opponents are all going to gather 1 red, all the bees kind of working together. And just look at that artwork. It's absolutely amazing. I can't stress enough how great the art is in this game. But that is what I would essentially be doing on my turn. Now, a caveat to that is that I can never have more than 3 of a color in my pool. If I would gather more, then I just don't gather them. So it prevents people from being able to collect a large stash and then prevent other bees from being able to do anything. So that would essentially be my turn. I would play this, discard this yellow one. I would gather 2, and my opponent would gather 1. So then, on my next turn, I can then spend my pollen, if I choose, that I have in my pool. Let's say I have 2 reds and a blue in my pool. I can then either gather more by selecting 2 more, or I can purchase one of the honey cards that is in the row up here. There's always 4, so when one is drawn, I draw a new one from the deck. So you see here that this one costs 3 gray pollen. That basically means wilds, so they can be any color. And at the end of the game, I would get 1 victory point for having this honey in my collection. So I would spend 3 gems or 3 pollen, and then I would collect this card. Now, let's say, for example, I were to take one of these that have some text at the bottom. So I'll go ahead and purchase this one instead. It's going to cost me 1 red and 3 purple, and I may activate an action on any other available honey card. So by purchasing this, I get 2 victory points at the end of the game, and as soon as I purchase it, I can activate the text on one of these other cards. So these other cards that you see here, 2 of them have text. This one says each other player takes 1 pollen gem of any color. So it's worth 3, but by purchasing it, I'm giving every other player a free gem. Or I could do this over here that says take 2 pollen gems of any color. So that's a really great play for me to buy this card here, put it to my collection, and then I can activate this, collect 2 pollen gems of any color. So essentially this only costs me 2 because I'm gaining 2 back from this. And that's how the play goes. You go around the table collecting pollen and purchasing honey. And when you run out of honey cards, you tally up all of the victory points from the honey, and you have a winner. I also mentioned that there was an advanced mode. And in the advanced mode, the mechanics of the game don't change, but we get some additional victory point conditions and even some instant win conditions. So at the beginning of the game, you decide if you want to play the advanced mode. And then you would draw a couple of the advanced mode cards from the deck. There are about 5 or 6 that are included in the game. And you play 3 of them. And then those 3 cards essentially give you extra ways of getting victory points and extra ways of winning throughout the game. So this one, for example, says every honey card without an action text is worth 1 additional VP. So that one that I just showed you guys a second ago that doesn't have any text, this card would actually be worth 2 in advanced mode as opposed to just being worth 1. This one here says each player gets 3 VP for every 5 pollen symbols of the same color on their honey cards. So here, if I had these 2 cards, for example, in my collection at the end, there are 5 purple total. You see 3 on this one and 2 on this one. That would meet this condition, and I would get an extra 3 victory points. And then over here we have an instant win that says you win immediately if you have at least 6 honey cards and have at least 2 more honey cards than any other player. So if you're playing with a lot of people and you're racking up honey cards and someone is struggling, there is a way that you could win the game instantly by using that victory condition. Aside from that, they just add a little bit of extra flavor. They don't change the mechanics of the game. I've played both ways, and both ways are a lot of fun. I definitely recommend using just the normal mode for a younger crowd of people that you're playing with. But one of my daughters, she's 12, and she absolutely loves this game. She can't get enough. And when we play, she insists on playing the advanced mode because she likes the extra challenge. So it definitely adds a little bit of something extra. It's not necessary. The game is still fun without it. And I hope to see more of these in the future because, you know, there's just not really a whole lot of them in the game. So maybe just playing with one every time would add a little bit of extra flavor into the game. But playing with 3 when you only have like 5 or 6 to choose from, you know, you kind of know what you're going to get every time. Real quick before we wrap up, I just want to show you guys again some of the artwork on these cards. It's just so great. And I can really appreciate the level of effort that went into the artwork and the design of the cards. They're not standard cards. They're a little bit larger, which is nice because it really lets the artwork show. And these cards are they're just awesome. You know, I'm not like a bee lover or anything like that, but again, I really can just appreciate the art. And it's not just on the, these are the gather cards with the bees on them. That's not the only art that looks great. You see these, you know, advanced mode cards look really nice as well. And then even the honey cards look great too. Well guys, that's Bees, Secret Kingdom. Like I said in the beginning of the video, it's a simple resource management game. You collect resources, you buy your victory points. Collect resources, buy your victory points. There are a few things that make it unique, like everybody getting resources instead of just the player that's gathering. But aside from that, it's essentially, you know, exactly how I described it. The artwork is absolutely amazing. My family is already starting to fall in love with this game, so I'm very happy that I got a chance to check it out, and this will definitely be making it to the table more often. I hope that you guys will also check it out. Again, I will leave links to the product in the description below. Shout out again to Van Ryder Games for letting us take a look, and yeah, this is another highly recommend for me. Found this video helpful, you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out a lot. Make sure that you share it with your family, friends, and your nerdy communities. If you have any suggestions for our channel, make sure to leave them in the comments section down below. I read them all and I reply to them all, so definitely make sure that you do that. If you have any content that you would like to have featured on our page, you can hit us up on one of our many social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Circle of Nerds. We also have a little game show and a podcast. Podcast is called The Cosmic Disaster Show. It airs every Tuesday. You can find that on any platform that has podcasts, and we even have it up on YouTube now. So you can go and check that out right here on the channel. And if you want to give us a little more extra special love, then make sure you check us out on patreon.com/Circle of Nerds. Anyway, guys, that's all from me. I'll see you in the next video.